Hey, what's going on, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. I don't know what's going on with my eye, but we're going to figure it out. I just wanted to kind of just come here, just react to something I saw online. It wasn't nothing serious, but it took me down that space where I can kind of rant a little bit about the Lakers. I saw something, basically someone was saying something along the lines of the Lakers, had some tough times back in the day. I remember when the times were rough, and it showed a picture of Swaggy P and Jeremy Lin and some of those other guys. And it just, made me think like, yeah, those were tough times, but there's something to be said for knowing your team is not going to be any good and being able to embrace that. Those years, we knew we weren't going after no championship. We knew we didn't have, big time aspirations. We knew that we weren't going to be getting the first pick in the draft either. We just kind of understood that we were in a bad space, and we just lived with it, You can choose to not watch your team. You can choose to watch them, root for them. You can choose to, do a lot of different things. Your choices are there. You suck. This year, it's caught us by surprise. Sort of like last year, being ousted out of the first round, although injuries and stuff like that first year with LeBron, we knew once he went down, we didn't have a chance. With the kids, we didn't have a chance. So kind of lived with that. But last year, after winning the championship, we thought we had a chance. Team wasn't quite good enough, whatever, injuries. This year, we thought, even though the team doesn't necessarily fit, we figured we'd put the right type of pieces to make it fit, and we would be pretty good. And, even though I predicted that we would be 500 through 15 games, I still didn't expect us to look this bad, and I still didn't expect to feel this way about the team in the event that were to occur. I thought that we would struggle because we would have the same issues we're having, but I just didn't expect us to have the type of stagnation that we see with our offense, the type of lack of size and stuff like that we talk about all the time. So you just get to a point where it's like it's easy to live with the inevitable if the inevitable is in your face. Hey, we suck, that's it. But for us to feel good about having a championship opportunity, and then for us to be as bad as we are, or as look as bad as we do, rather, I feel like these are hard times too. I feel like these times suck, in their own way. It's like, you want your team to be one of two things. Either really, really, really good or really, really, really bad, so you can get really, really good with the type of picks that can come your way from being that way. We don't have any picks. We traded them all away for AD. We traded them all away for Russell. So it's like we don't have the ability of just missing the playoff and saying, well, we can add an asset to this situation. No, we don't add nothing. We are going to live and die with what we have. So being the fact that our superstar is my age, and then second superstar is kind of, not looking to really carry a heavy load by himself. And then we have the third one who's just struggling to figure out just simple, basic basketball plays. It just gets to a point where it's like, you feel like you're running out of time and you want to do drastic things. You want to fire people, you want to trade people, because at the end of the day, it's all about salvaging this small window of maybe 2 years that we have with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And right now we're just throwing this year away. Last year was thrown away. The year before that we won a championship. The year before that was thrown away. It's like, how many throwaway years are we going to allow ourselves to have with these high expectations but poor execution? Poor roster building, unnecessarily bad fits. You know what I mean? And we've talked about this. I feel like LeBron James allowed that fit to be unorthodox and allowed it to be a not so seamless fit because he wanted it to appear difficult. The antithesis to to KD leaving Brooklyn. Oh no, rather leaving OKC and going to Golden State, the great opposite of that, rather, because he was trying to get himself to a situation where he could go and win an easy ring and, have a perfect fit that would make basketball look beautiful. Bron seems to want to have the opposite. He wants to have a horrible fit that he can use his magic to piece together and ultimately raise his legacy to be the greatest. But at the end of the day, it's like, bro, if it failed, you just look like a guy who made things harder for himself than he had to by putting together a team that didn't fit at all, and then expecting his magic again to make it work. It's just not the way to go. I think winning is what it's about. How you win is just something that people forget about most of the time. They really do. They don't care how you won, just that you won. And that's what it comes down to. LeBron James, in my opinion, should, for the betterment of the franchise he plays for, should want easy, seamless fits, Golden State-like fits that should be able to mow down the league to help him win easy championships. That's what he should want. But the narrative of fighting the ghost of Michael Jordan's imperfect record, or rather perfect record, in the finals, just makes it so that he's making this thing ridiculous for all of us. And that's how I'm taking it. I say him because I think nobody does anything without him saying yep or nope. And I just feel like anybody who knew basketball knew that him and Russell Westbrook was not a good fit. KD left Russell Westbrook for the same reasons that we're frustrated right now. And, it's a valiant thing to do, to say I can win with Russell Westbrook, but going out and actually doing it is a whole nother thing. And I would prefer a guy to have the skill set of a guy like KD, more so than a guy like Bron, to play with Russell Westbrook. Because at the end of the day, Russell Westbrook, even though he monopolizes the ball quite a bit, and it would be best for someone to kind of help him with some of those things, at the end of the day, he needs a co-star who can shoot. He needs a co-star that can shoot. He needs a co-star who can play off of him, and Bron doesn't do that very well. Not in theory, and he doesn't play off of Bron at all. Basically, because he doesn't play off the, Russell doesn't play off the ball. So, as we speak as a broken record over and over again about the same stuff, I just want to tell you guys that these are not great times. They're not the same as the Jeremy Lin times. They're definitely not as bad as the Robert Sacre times, but these suck. These suck because we have high expectations, and then we're falling flat early, and injuries are starting to pile up, and the reality of our circumstances works against us. The timeline, more so than anything else, works against us. Because if everybody was 30 years old, if everybody across the board was just 30, then we could say, all right, let's figure it out. Sort of like Golden State did. When Clay went down, it was like, all right, Dre went down. Those guys are old, but they're not old. We can put together a couple years of rebuilding, and when they get back, we'll have everything. Now they have everything. And here we are with 3 max contracts trying to carry the load, and it's just, I don't like it. I'm ready to blow it up. As I've been saying on this camera for the last couple of days, I'm cool, man. I don't believe in letting things just continue to get worse, dragging your feet, having this rah-rah, we can do it, I know we can do it. Maybe we can. But I'm playing the numbers, and right now the percentages look to me as if there's a bigger chance of us not making it work than we do of having it work. There's way more scenarios where this thing fails than us pulling it together and overcoming this very youthful field out there. So, yeah, man. I'm over it. And I don't think we need to bring in a third superstar unless his name is somebody above the cachet of, like, either Ben Simmons or better, basically. I would trade Russell Westbrook for Ben Simmons, but I don't love the idea of bringing in a third contract. I think this third max contract is the problem. I think if that third max contract ain't a player that absolutely fits, for which Westbrook and Ben both do not, then you're just putting too much of a strain on your GM, as we've discussed. So, I feel like the Lakers should shave it back down to 2. AD and Russell Westbrook are enough. That's 2 superstars. And then get them some B guys. You don't have to get a Russell Westbrook. You could have got you a Spencer Dinwiddie. You know what I mean? You could have got you a Malcolm Brogdon and had the same result. Not same, better. They would have played better. It would have fit better. These same passes would have been made instead of turned over. Those defensive plays that aren't being contested would have been contested. And you have more than half the money. The Boston Celtics made fun of the Lakers yesterday. Oh, they were talking to Dennis Schroeder, because everybody knows Dennis Schroeder was offered that certain amount, and then everything trickled down, and he ended up with Boston for much less money. But, as they were talking to him, they put at the bottom of the caption, the Lakers are playing Russ $44 million this year, and then LOL. And, it's the Celtics, so, they're going to throw shots at us just off the strength. That's why I always throw shots at them, but in a deeper conversation, that's exactly what we did. As bad as offering Dennis Schroeder all that money we were offering him actually was, trading for Russell Westbrook's contract was infinitely worse for the reasons of money. Basketball have nothing to do with it. Russell Westbrook could be playing great right now. I guess that would change things. But even if you were playing at a level we were cool with, this would still be the same conversation because his contract is ridiculous. It's absurd. And at his age, the only team that should want that thing is us. Based on the timeline of the other players on our team, basically LeBron James. The thing that's also frustrating me about this LeBron James thing is he wants to play with players that are old, bro. And I just hate the notion that that is actually something that he wants. Because I know he would play better with a bunch of kids. A bunch of good, talented kids, but kids. You know, I would rather him be playing with Devin Booker and, and AD. Let's keep AD on the team. But I would rather that Russell Westbrook guy to be more like Devin Booker's age. You know what I mean? He don't have to be LaMelo Ball's age. But I want him to be a guy who still has something left in the tank as it pertains to being able to carry the load, because that's what my enthusiasm about bringing Russell was about. It was like, yo, this dude can carry the load when LeBron's down. AD, Russell Westbrook, you can get to the playoffs easy with a team like that. And maybe you still can if you have the right players around them, but not scraps of old guys that can barely move around these days. You know what I mean? That team ain't gonna be able to be led by Russell and AD. That team is gonna get beat up while they're down there doing their best. And being that Russell is struggling, it's bad, man. And I'm not gonna say that I didn't see this as a possibility, as a scenario, because I did. Clearly, this was a possibility, but you just didn't want it to look this way. You just didn't want our defense to be as poor as it is. You didn't want our coach to be putting these top players on the floor as he does. And you just ultimately wanted to see LeBron James healthy through these 15 games so that they could be building the chemistry amongst those three, because we're leaning so much on them. So much on them to play well. So, yeah, man. Tough times in LA, bro. I've been pressing the panic button for the last 3 games. I just don't like the way this is looking right now. I just, I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world. I'm certainly not saying that we are definitely not going to make the playoffs or something, but I'm saying, again, more scenarios where we don't do well than do at this point. And this is an easy fix. If you can, well, no, nothing's easy. No, I don't want to say easy fix, but it is fixable. So, yeah, it's fixable, man. We just got to fire this coach and get rid of that third contract that, to be honest with you, we had no business bringing in. I want to ask Lakernation something honest, a real honest question. Even Russell Westbrook at his best, even if he's playing the best version of himself, is that really the prototype we want on this team with LeBron James and Anthony Davis? And of course that's a question we've asked on this channel before, especially when we were bringing him in, when the rumors started coming in. But honestly, no. And the reason why no is because he's such a poor defensive player. I don't have anything bad to say about his strengths. He's one of the great triple-double. He's the greatest triple-double player ever. But defensively, for all of his great attributes and power, it translates so poorly defensively. And that has always been a huge pet peeve for Brand. Personally, for BDF 44, that always kept me on the other side of the Russell Westbrook train. Even though I could be in awe of all the great things that he does, I am irritated by players who can do all kinds of strong things in terms of like pushing off, jumping, doing all kinds of crazy things athletically on the offensive end, but then don't give me that same energy on the defensive end. They're not rushing at people the same way. They're not putting that energy, that strength that they have, throwing their body in front of people, taking charges. I like my players who have that type of intensity to see the fruit in having that intensity on both sides of the floor. And that's how I am as it pertains to every basketball player, period. I just have it's a frustrating thing for me to watch players like that. And Russell Westbrook is one of those guys, man. He just, even when he was at his best in his prime, he was never a good defensive player. And I just didn't understand it. I didn't understand it. And now I watch him play defense. It's not like he's not doing certain things that work, But I mean, if he were just better at thinking the side of the ball of defense, his athleticism, his speed would carry him into being a great defensive player. Now look at a guy like Davion Mitchell. Who the hell taught him how to play defense? And why can't whoever taught him that teach this to all these other guys? Because Davion Mitchell he's on his way to being one of the great defenders, period. Like literally. You know, I look at him and I see a young Tony Allen. And I'm like, where is he learning how to do this? Because he's a strong body. You know what I mean? He has a strong body. Russell Westbrook, you know what I mean? A prime Russell Westbrook, he could have did everything Davion's doing right now. Physically, he can move like that. It's just he doesn't think the defensive side of the ball like that. And it drives me absolutely up a wall. Some guys can play D and others can't. And I just understand that to be something that will work against you. If you have one of those guys who can't, it's going to work against you, man. You know? When a guy can't move that well, you know what I'm saying? When he ain't got no athleticism and all that, he's like me, barely get off the ground. Cool, fine. You're going to have people blow by you. That's fine. But when you can get from half court to the rim in a matter of 2 seconds, then ain't no damn excuse for you to be a bad defender. There's no excuse. I'm sorry. No excuse. If you miss a read here and there, that's cool. Look, defense is it's a thinking man's game. So if you miss a read, fine. But effort, pushing yourself in a position to put your hands up, doing things, that's effort stuff, man. That's effort stuff. And it just seems like some people, they love to jump. But when it comes to taking charges and getting down and sitting in that chair, as they say, it's too difficult for them for whatever reason. Physically, their bodies just don't want to do it. I ain't up for it. That drives me nuts as a fan. So that's part of the problem. It's part of the problem. When you put together 3 max contracts, you got to make sure that they either play off one another's or, you know, can as in making up from each other's weaknesses, or they got to be able to play in conjunction with one another perfectly. And we just obviously don't have it. So yeah, man, that's what I want to come up here and do. Say it's pretty much some of the same stuff I always say. Hopefully, one of these videos will get to the right person, so they'll take some of what I got to say into consideration and couple that with everybody else and what they're saying, and hopefully make the changes necessary to make our team what it needs to be. Because right now we're not that, and it doesn't look like we're headed there. And I just think a lot of Laker fans, you know, I say this, a lot of Laker fans would support anybody to put on the uniform, man. It could be Big Bird putting on a Laker uniform. They're going to root for him, and they're going to get mad at anybody for being critical of them. With all due respect to you, I just have a different brain. I'm a different type of fan, and I'm never, ever going to be able to do that. I've seen too many players come in and out of this uniform, been attached to them, let them, you know, walked away from them. Had guys I thought I didn't like a lot in basketball come put on a uniform, end up rooting for them, and they left again and didn't like them again. These type of things, you just see so much turnover to where it's about the name on the front for real. It's about the name on the front for real. As far as this channel is concerned, it's always about the front. So I'll let go of anybody, you know, anybody. I had a 7-foot poster of Shaq on my wall. When he was traded, I knew then that there was never going to be a player that I could see wear that uniform that I couldn't watch take it off. Nobody. And that still stands. So if you're going to be a detriment to our team, no matter what you've accomplished, no matter who you are, if you're a detriment to our team today, then I'm going to be thinking about whether or not I want you here. It's cut and dry. It don't mean nothing other than that. I'm just a cut and dry basketball fan, Laker fan till I die. And I always want to see us in a position to have at least a good cap situation and a solid product on the floor. If I have that, I'm cool. Can't win it every year. But you want to have an opportunity to at least just have a cohesive basketball floor down there for yourself. And for the most part, I guess we've been okay. You know, I mean, granted, we won so many championships, I can't complain too much. But we did sit through the sock rays. We did watch Kobe get, you know, little to no help for a very long time because we kept on giving our cap space to players that couldn't play. And doing deals like Luol Deng's deal and Timothy Mozgov's deal and crap like that. So, you know, it happens. Luckily enough, we were able to get it back on track, so on and so forth. So, yeah, man, that's what I got, man. I feel for y'all teams that are going through tough times. I know some of y'all laugh at a Laker fan talking about tough times. I get it, I guess. I don't even know if I can get it, right? But I hear you. At the end of the day, when you expect to win, and you know how to win, and you've watched teams figure it out and all of that, you know a championship team when you see one. And right now, this ain't even close. It's not even close. So that's what I wanted to say, man. That's what I wanted to say. Tough times are here again. BDL 44. Lakers for life. Peace.